Hello everybody, my name is Parampreet Singh and I am here today to discuss with you about our IAS Prelims 2023 quick revision course. The purpose of this course is to help the students who are finally going to give this year preliminary examination. Because of my experience of teaching for the UPSC examination, I very well understand that in these months of February, March and April, the students are mostly worried about their last phase of preparation, which basically relate to the revision of the things. Because almost all the students who have decided to give this year examination complete the basic studies and the basic reading of the things by the end of January or mid of February. Now after that, what is left out is how to revise all the things in a quick format. So to cater that need of the students, we have launched our quick revision course program. It is totally based upon the preliminary examination, and this course is going to help all those students who are going to give this examination after completing their basic studies. By basic studies, I mean that we are preparing for this examination from last certain years. So there are few basic books that has to be studied. There are certain current affairs things that has to be done. So once you have completed all those basic studies, and then finally, when you think that now I should brush up again what all I have studied so that the things get settled down properly in the mind. So for that purpose, I think this course would be very helpful. Now first, let me quickly brief you about some of the features of this course. So in the feature of this course, as the name itself says, it is a quick revision course designed in such a way that you can quickly revise the whole of your syllabus, both for paper 1 as well as the paper 2. And here the classes will be organized for each section of the general studies and CSAT paper in proportion to its importance, which is largely based upon the analysis of the previous year question. So taking that trend into consideration, we have designed the classroom program, and there will be only live online classes for this. And if the classes are live online, obviously they are going to get recorded, and those recordings will be available with you till the validity of this course, which is of 1 year. And at the end of the program, we would also be giving the student to test themselves, an opportunity to test themselves, and in that context, few of the tests will be conducted with you. That is what you can call a kind of model test. So those tests will be conducted for both the GS as well as the CSAT paper. So this is the basic feature of this course. Now coming to my subject. So in this course, I'll be taking care of Indian history, art and culture section. We will cover this whole section in total 8 classes. Emphasis would be given upon those topics from where the questions are mostly expected in the examination. Okay. Now, there is one more very important thing. Almost all the students who are serious with their preliminary examination this year would have made some plan for the revision at the end. And obviously, when certain plans are made, we try to find out how better can we do with that plan, if some input could be added, and if something which we have decided and it is not important should be removed out. So as I said that I have been teaching for UPSC examination from last several years, one thing which I generally see in the students, that when they sit to revise their course, they generally follow a very traditional method of revision in which some of the students make a target for revision by allotting a fixed amount of chapter to be revised every day from a particular subject. That is one method. Like for example, suppose if in the modern history section there are altogether 20 chapters and you have already decided that I have to complete my modern history revision in 3 days. So generally they divide it into 6 and something more each day. So in that way they try to complete the things. Now that is one strategy. You divide your whole topic into chapters and then take out the number of days which you have fixed for the revision and do likewise. The second thing which I see among the student is many times that some of them who are very much infatuated with doing the things only from the books, then they do their revision by dividing it into number of pages. Like again, for example, if you have decided to study the whole of modern history from say any X book and there are around 150 pages in that book and you have decided that I have to revise it in 3 days, then 50 page each day. These are two traditional methods which students are following. Mostly the students follow this method. It is good because it's easy to be done. It is also good because you are going to again read the same content which you have already studied while doing your basic preparation with the thing. So that makes it good. And I'll say it is useful also because there are few books from where the questions mostly come in the examinations. So in certain subject like history, polity, we have those kinds of books, no doubt. So if you are very good with those books, then you can expect that most of the questions will be able to answer in the examination. So overall, this is okay. But there is one thing which you can add up. I think that will make your revision more purposeful and more effectful. That is that instead of going through this kind of linear method of revision, where you are revising the things by dividing it into chapters or pages, you better revise it by dividing your whole subject into themes. Let me explain you. Like in the case of the modern history, there are few areas which I am calling themes from where the question mostly comes in our examination. For this, we need to do a brief analysis of the last 15 to 20 years paper and more specifically the last 10-year questions. So on the basis of that analysis, we can understand that what are the major areas of this topic, major themes of this topic, from where the questions are mostly being asked in the examination. Like for example, in the case of modern history, so here one very prominent area for the question in the modern history could be personalities. There are many important personalities who have made their contribution to the history of India during the period 1757 to 1947. That is the time period of modern history. Now, among those personalities, like for example, there is one Rabindranath Tagore. Like for example, there is one Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Like for example, there is another Dada Bhai Naroji. Like for example, Swami Vivekanand and Swami Dayanand Saraswati. So these are some of the important personalities about whom we read when we go through the chapters like socio-religious reform movements of India, Swadeshi movement and partition of Bengal, or for that matter, when we go through the chapter like revolutionary nationalism. Now, when we go through the movement of revolutionaries, then we again read few names like Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, Chandrasekhar Azad, Ashfaq Ullah Khan, and many others. Now, this is one particular area from where very often the questions has been asked in the modern history section. If you will see now the previous year question, you will find that many times the questions have been asked from here. And it's not only about modern history. When you study ancient and medieval history also, then there also we find some personalities. Like I remember once very recently they asked a question on 𝐸𝐾𝐻 regarding his view on slavery that we find from Arthashastra. Okay, so in that way, in ancient and medieval history also we have some personalities. One, as I said, is 𝐸𝐾𝐻. Another one is a Chinese traveler, Fahian, who came to India during the reign of the Gupta ruler, Chandragupta. Then there is another Chinese traveler whose name is Yuan Sang, who came to India during the reign of Harshvardhana. The point which I am trying to make is that you can make one separate theme in history for personalities, both in your modern history revision and ancient and medieval history revision. Second, we can come to the theme for modern history, and that could be just a second. So, one theme is personalities. The second theme is British acts and commissions. So, during the time of the British rule, various acts have been passed in the British Parliament. Like for example, Morley-Minto Reform that we call Act of 1909, Montagu-Chelmsford Reform that we call Act of 1919. Similarly, there is Act of 1935. So, very often questions have come from here. Acts. Then British in India have also formed some committees and commissions. Like one very popular committee is Butler Committee that was formed by the British to define the relation between the British Crown and the Indian state. In commission, we have Cripps Mission. In commissions, we have Cabinet Mission. And if you will see the previous year question, again you will very frequently find question from this area. So that we can keep the second major theme. Third major theme could be the British policies towards education in India, the British policy towards economic changes in India, the British policy towards socio-religious changes in India, so that we can make our third theme. Then fourth theme we can make is important tribal / peasant and labor movements in India. Labor movements in India. Very frequently the questions have come from here. The fourth important theme that can be made here is, fifth one. The fifth important theme that we can make is major events of freedom struggle. Now see, what I was trying to tell you is that instead of going through the revisions on the basis of chapters and pages, if we revise the things on the basis of themes in one particular section of history, our revision will be more effective. Why will it be effective? Number one, questions can easily be understood if at the time of the revision you have studied the thing according to the nature of the question. I hope you are understanding what I am trying to say. When we study the things according to the nature of the question, we do not get surprises inside the examination hall. Many times I find students, after coming out of the examination hall, they say that, sir, this question was very surprising for me. I never thought they could ask like this. Why that was surprising for him? Instead of the fact that he has done a very good reading of the topic of the subject, only because he has never studied that chapter according to the requirement as we have in our UPSC examination. So I believe that if we study the things according to the requirement of the question or the examination, then that surprise element can be brought down. No doubt, even after that, there can be few surprises, but what can we try is to just bring down that level. So we can bring it down. So one benefit of revising the things according to this way is that you will not have surprises inside the examination hall, because you are revising according to the nature of the questions in the examination, according to the style on which questions are asked in our examination. So that is one benefit. The second benefit of this will be that this revision will be more holistic in nature. How come? This is something like this, that suppose we start doing personalities first. And in personalities, we have outlined 10 to 12 personalities. That is how I have designed my class, so that is why I am saying it to you. So suppose we have 10 to 15 like personalities with us whom we have to do. Now in these 15 personalities, there are few who are mainly associated with the socio-religious reform movements of India. Like for example, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. There are few who are mainly associated with the freedom struggle of India. Like for that example, Dadabhai Naoroji. Then there would be few who will be associated with the tribal movement, peasant movement, working class movement, depressed class movements in India, isn't it? So everywhere we find some personalities, right? Like for example, in the tribal movement, we take Birsa Munda. In the depressed classes movement, we take Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. So if we do in that way, then while going through the personalities, we will also be able to just have a quick understanding of the features of these struggles, isn't it? Suppose we are just doing Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Obviously, while doing Raja Ram Mohan Roy, little bit emphasis will be given upon the nature and character of the socialist reform movement in India. So there you have read it. Now then we come to the British policy. Just to give you an example, suppose we come to the British policies. Now when we come to the British policies, here again we will talk about socio-religious changes introduced by the British, as I said you. So when we'll do about the socio-religious changes introduced by the British, again while talking about that, we will discuss little bit about the socialist reform movement, because some of the changes were brought by them due to the emphasis or the demand made by the reformists from India. Abolition of sati, one of the major contribution there is of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Legalization of widow remarriage, one of the major contribution there is of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. So again that will come in front of us. Again we will listen about that. Again we will read about that little bit. So in that way, one topic which we are doing will be again and again coming in front of us more than 1, 2 or 3 times. This way it can be a very holistic revision instead of what we generally do, dividing the whole book into few pages according to the days, and once the first 50 pages are done, then that gets ended there itself. The things written there are not going to come back in front of us. Revision means it should keep on coming back in front of you somehow. Ya to somebody should say it to you, somebody should talk about it to you repeatedly, or else you keep on reading it repeatedly. But obviously that possibility is not there due to the short time span in which we have to revise our thing. So in this way, one way which can be used for the revision is theme based. And I'm telling this to you because this is how I have decided to spend those 8 classes with you, in which we will be revising the whole of ancient, medieval, culture and modern history. Because again, when the student comes to know that in the 8 days we are going to revise the whole history, he thinks that how is it possible? There are so many things. How can all be done in 8 days? So first and foremost, we do not have to read now each and everything in the class. This is revision. So it is expected that you know the chronology of the rulers, you know the chronology of the dynasties, you know all the basic things. You just need to brush it up again. So to brush it up again, we don't have to go into the details of everything. Just a reference of some reform movement while talking about personality. Just a reference of some reform movement while talking about the major changes brought by the British in Indian society, Indian religion. Just a reference is sufficient. Because the things are there in your mind. I need to just bring it back again in your consciousness and keep on doing it for few days, so that at the end of the class, you are fully prepared with that particular subject. And obviously, in rest of the classes also the things would be done in the same way. So in case of modern history, this one model can be followed. Important major events of the freedom struggle or important landmarks of the freedom struggle. Now in the important landmark of the freedom struggle, we will be doing those events which are not very popular in the history. It is only found when somebody comes to give the UPSC examination. Now we will not be doing here non-cooperation, civil disobedience, quit India movement. There I will just give you a reference that this was the year when the movement was started. Little bit of detailing we will do of the events like Ilbert Bill controversy. Little bit of detailing we will do of the event like Vernacular Press Act. Little bit of the detailing we can do of the events like Rowlatt Act or Rowlatt Act Satyagraha. Or more little bit of detailing we can do for the events like coming of the Simon Commission to India. Now, these are few of the things which are very important landmark of the freedom struggle. But when a student studies the whole freedom struggle, then at that time he is more focused upon studying about non-cooperation, civil disobedience, Swadeshi movement, quit India movement, and in between he leaves these things. So here we will focus upon that, because being associated with teaching for civil service examination and that too history, I understand little bit that where the student are mostly finding difficulties in answering the things inside the examination hall. And somehow, I don't know how is it, but UPSC it seems has come to know it, that where students are finding difficulties. What is the source? It's very difficult to say, but somehow they know it, because if you will see the nature of the question in last 5-6 years, I'm finding questions are basically being asked more from those areas which we generally ignore sometime when we are doing our basic readings. And what happens that after that basic reading, if you try to revise it on your own, it's a very basic human psychology, that human minds always try to preserve its energy. So best way the energy could be preserved in reservation is this, revision, not reservation, very sorry. In revision is this, that is you revise in the way you have studied. So as there is a basic fault in that way, where we are skipping some of these minor things, and UPSC knows it. So better while revision we should focus more upon these things. This will follow. If we are doing Simon Commission, obviously while telling to you about Simon Commission, I will mention CD or civil disobedience movement, because in one sense it is the outcome of that commission in India. So resto will follow, but more emphasis will be given upon it. Theme based revision is going to be very helpful for you, very helpful. So in case of modern history, we can make these themes. Now, in the whole of the history, if we divide it into three broader sections, as I generally do for my classes. So I divide history for preliminary examination into three broader sections. One section is ancient and medieval history. Another section which I keep is modern Indian history. And third section is the history related to Indian art, architecture and literature, which is most popularly known as Indian culture and heritage wala part. So again, going by the trends of the question in the examination, in the last 2-3 years, they have started asking more number of questions from the topic Indian art, architecture and literature. After that, the second important place is of, or second important position in terms of the number of question is of modern history. So first, according to the number of question, I keep Indian art, architecture and literature. Then second is modern history. Then third will come whatever is left in, then after that in ancient and medieval history, because much of the art, architecture and literature will cover ancient and medieval also. So about modern history, so I have told you, this should be the way revision should be done. And this is how we are going to do the things in our classes. We will not do it chapter wise. We will not do it topic wise. We will not do it page wise. We will do it theme wise to make it more effective for you. So that is in case of modern history. In case of art and culture, again, we can follow this strategy. That is, here one major theme could be the theme of temple architecture in India. Now this is one very important thing. Art, architecture and literature. So temple architecture in India. In the temple architecture, we should do the styles of the temple architecture. Dravida style is there, Nagara style is there, Vaisara style is there. There are three main styles, and there are some regional variations of these styles. Like for example, when we do Dravidian temple architecture, then here one style was witnessed during the time of Pallavas. Another style is witnessed during the time of Cholas. Third development is witnessed during the time of Vijayanagar. So in that way, we can see the development of Dravidian style. Then another major style is Nagara or Nagar Shaili. Now here, one variation we find it is in Gupta period. Another variation we find of it in the Chandela temples. Okay, one more variation of this we find in the temple of Gujarat and Rajasthan. You might have heard about the temples of Dilwara, Mount Abu. So temple architecture, to study them, we can do through its styles. While doing it through style, we will also be focusing upon important examples. Okay, the name of the temple, related to which style, built in which period, who was the king who patronized its construction, to which god it is dedicated, and if there is some special feature of that temple. So one theme could be temple architecture. Another theme, here again art, architecture and culture section could be Buddhist art and Buddhist architecture. In Buddhist art and architecture, we can do the cave architecture, various chaityas and viharas which were made. Again, knowing the name of all those chaityas and viharas. Then we can also cover here, that is stupa architecture. Stupas are related to Buddhism. Then here we can do paintings also, because in most of these chaityas and viharas which are made out of caves or in the form of caves, made out of rocks in the form of caves, inside them we find paintings, and most of the paintings are based on Buddhist themes. So Buddhist art can be one section or one theme. Then another theme which we can make here is Islamic architecture in India. And in the Islamic architecture, we can do Turkish contribution or contribution during the time of Delhi Sultanate. Then we will do contribution during the time of Mughals. Then we will do contribution during the time of the regional kingdoms in India, which were ruled by the Muslim king, like Bahmani kingdom in south, or for that matter, the kingdom of the Nawabs of Awadh in Lucknow. Some of the very important specimen of the medieval architecture is also found from there. So that is how we can do the things in the context of Islamic architecture. Then when again we come to this topic back, that is Indian art, architecture and literature. In the case of literature, here we will be doing the Vedic literature. Here we will be doing the Sangam literature. Then here we will be doing some other secular literature like the text of the scholars like Panini, the text of the scholars like Kautilya, the text of the scholars like Patanjali, and more important, the texts which were written as law books during those times, ancient and medieval ages, Dharma Shastras. Then here we will also be doing about medieval literature of India. And in the medieval literature, we would be studying about like Al-Biruni's India, what has Al-Biruni told about India. Then how during the time of the Sultanate, certain text written by the Muslim scholars of that time, especially the Mughal rule. Okay, many of the texts were written by the Muslim scholars at that time. So they give us an idea about Indian kingdom, Indian society, Indian religion, interaction between India and Islam of that times. So that all can be covered under the section of literature. And then with this, because as I said that art, architecture, literature is considered more a part of culture, then in case of culture, we will do here Bhakti and Sufi movement. That can be made another theme. Bhakti and Sufi movement, and then Hindu philosophies. Now, doing again the whole of art, architecture and culture in these themes. And sorry, I forgot to add here for you about dance, then music, dance, music, painting, theater, puppetry and martial art. So this we can make one section. Pure art, both performing and the art which we find in the form of painting. Okay, so both kind of arts can be done, that is fine arts as well as performing art. Exactly, the fine art and performing art both can be covered under one theme here. So now you see, one theme is temple architecture, another theme is Buddhist art and architecture, the third theme is Islamic architecture, fourth is the whole about literature, fifth is the whole about cultural movements, Bhakti and Sufi and Hindu philosophy, sixth is all about fine art and performing arts. Now in this way, if you divide the whole theme of ancient, medieval, art, culture, literature, including modern, because when we will do fine art and performing art, we will come to the folk art forms also. So modern also included. I guarantee that inside the examination hall, you will not have that surprise factor for you. And believe me, this is more easier to be done than what you do. Why? Because in your case, you will not be able to skip anything. You have already decided that I will read the whole 150 page. You have already decided that. You have already decided I will cover the whole 30 chapters of this book. You will not skip anything. Here at least we can skip many things which is expected that you know because you have done your basic reading. when we start for preparation, then everything is good. Everything appears to be new, everything appears to be interesting. But after those basic reading, why don't we come finally to this? Only one difficulty in preparing the things through this format is that for this, number one, you should have a very good knowledge of the subject. Number second, you have prepared yourself for this revision from last 6 to 7 months. But obviously, majority do not do that. Majority remembers that revision has to be done only in February. So obviously, you would have not made any such plan. But then I have already done it for you, because every year we run these kinds of courses, and every year I help the students in revising the things through this theme format revision. Quick revision for me means revision in a thematic format. Quick it is being called so that you can understand the purpose of the course, but the strategy is this, thematic. So for all the three sections, ancient medieval one section, culture or what you call culture and what I call art, architecture and literature, second section, and then modern history, the third section. We have themes, and through thematic basis we are going to revise the thing. One thing more, I would also like to talk to you about the previous year questions which have come on these areas. So in the previous year questions which has come on these areas, which will help us to understand again why that thematic preparation is required. Like you see, this is one question. It was a very recent one, 2022. Which of the following statement about Sangam literature in ancient South India is correct? Now, as I said you, literature will be one of our themes. And in literature, we will do Vedic literature, we will do Sangam literature. And obviously, when we will do Sangam literature, we will also talk about Sangam age society, Sangam age economy, Sangam age polity, and all that kind of things. So, from there, this is one question. Then, again, another question here is from a temple, 𝐶 Yogini temple. 𝐶 Yogini temple. Now, here, as I said you, temple architecture will be another theme. And in the temple architecture, what are we going to do? Important examples. Important example, we will take the name of a temple, important temple of ancient medieval ages, who built it. Then see how they are asking question. This is the name of the dynasty. It is one of the Rajput dynasty of 10th and 12th century. Literal meaning of this term, Kach Paghat. Literal meaning of this term, Kachap Ghat. Ghat, this is Ghat. Kachap Ghat, this is how this term is. Kachap Ghat. Kachap Ghat का literal meaning है tortoise killer. Tortoise killer. So this is one very popular dynasty of the Rajputs. Now, obviously, we study about Rajputs when we study medieval history. But mostly we do not go detail into every Rajput dynasty. There are so many Rajput clans. While doing temple architecture, because Rajputs have a lot of contribution in it, especially Chandelas. The whole Khajuraho temples were built under the patronization of the Chandela rulers. So there we cover it up later. So here the name of the dynasty is given. The feature of the temple is being asked. Circular hai, or square hai, or rectangular hai. So this question is from another theme which we have to do, temple architecture. Then another question. Now this is from modern history. As I said you that questions are many times based upon personalities. So personality, here you see the names are given. Shahnawaz Khan, Prem Kumar Sehgal, Gurbakh Singh Dhillon. These are those personalities who are associated with the revolt of Indian National Army. There we always study the name of Subhash Chandra Bose. There are many others who were associated with him. So three of them are these. Again, personalities came. I said we will be doing personality of revolutionary movement also. So when we will do revolutionary movement, then Subhash Chandra Bose will also come. Because by the end, that is during the time of Second World War, he appears to be a revolutionary. When he says, "Tum mujhe khoon do, main tumhe azadi dunga. Give me blood, I'll give you freedom." Now this is revolution. This is violence. So that is revolution, isn't it? Then another question here is about reform. Montagu-Chelmsford reform, British Acts and Commissions. So the point which I wanted to make with you is that the purpose of this course is to help you quickly go through the things which you might have already studied once, but because of the lack of understanding of this examination and also because of the nature of syllabus, it is so heterogeneous that it is very difficult for a student to keep track of any one subject always in his mind. By the time he completes his history, he has to do geography. By the time he completes his geography, he has to do polity and governance. By the time you complete your polity and governance, somebody comes and said that now economy is to be done. So nature of syllabus is very heterogeneous. It is difficult to keep a track of one thing or any one subject for a very longer time. Obviously, by January, when you complete one whole basic study of your syllabus, you forget some of the details. Help you there, this course has been designed. And because we know the requirement of this examination and also we understand where a student can get into trouble. Being in this field from last around 20 years, it's now possible to understand कि where student can be in a trouble. ये ठीक वैसी ही बात है जैसे नहीं कहते कि माँ बाप समझते हैं कि बच्चे कहाँ परेशानी में पड़ सकते हैं. ये ठीक वैसी ही बात है कि हर माँ बाप जानता है उसका बच्चा कहाँ परेशानी में पड़ सकता है. बच्चे नहीं समझते हैं इस बात को, लेकिन माँ बाप जानते हैं. नहीं, वो बॉलीवुड फिल्म का डायलॉग है ना, बाप बाप होता है. तो मम्मी पापा जानते हैं कि बच्चे कहाँ फंस सकते हैं. तो in the same way, being in this field, teaching from so many years, we understand it, and very sincerely, it would be very good for you if you prepare in this theme format. Obviously, as I said that preparing yourself to prepare in this way is little difficult because then you'll have to give a lot of time. To save that time, this is going to help you. And I assure you that with this kind of revision, you will see that the same thing you are revising multiple times in 8 days. So that is all. And at the last, I wish all of you all the best for this year examination. Even those students who are planning to give it next year but will be listening to me, best of luck, my dear. I know how much labor is required for this examination and how sincerely our students prepare. So from my side, best wishes for all of you. If we will meet in the class, obviously I'll try my best to help you out. And as I said, that videos will be available for 1 year. So later on you can revise the things through the videos also on your own. And that is how we'll be doing the things. So thank you all. Thank you very much. Hope to meet you soon. Bye. And please take care.